Hey guys, so we are back in Subnautica. Actually, we're going to be looking at a lot of stuff in this video. We have to look at everything that you guys pointed out in the last video, like the Kraken tentacles and stuff like that. There's just a whole host of things, and we're also going to look at some mods. So the first section of this video is going to be showing you mods. Now, why have I been showing you mods so frequently lately when I play Subnautica? Well, that's because if you look over on their fancy little Trello, you will see they are referencing modifications in their work cards. Now, what does that mean? Well, one, they're obviously paying heavy attention to the modding community in Subnautica, and two, we may get better mod support in their upcoming expansion. Now, I can't say for sure if they're going to go through with that or not. We can hope and we can pray, and I show these mods as hopefully the modding community will reach out and say, hey, this is actually really cool stuff we're seeing, and we don't even have the support we necessarily need to do this cool stuff. So like, as you can see right here, I've got cannons and I've got an onboard scanner on my Seamoth. I've also got an underwater pistol that I'm going to show you in just a moment. So guys, what I want to do first is I'm going to show you the unofficial modded content for those of you who are interested in that. And then after that, I'm going to show you all of the official fancy Subnautica likes stuff. What the hell was that? What was that? I don't know. Weird things happening under the water. You can't really trust anything around here, and anything can happen. So, yeah, like I was saying, I'm going to show you the official stuff after I show you these mods. So, this is just a pistol, more or less, that you can use underwater. Weapons were never really designed or needed for Subnautica, and I will say that right off the bat. You don't need weapons that can kill things. You really don't. Sorry, little guy. I kind of had to do that. So, I'm going to try this weapon out on a reef back just to see if it's the weapon itself or if it was the laser cannon that we had. See if I do anything to you. You're gonna die or are you gonna fly? What's gonna happen with you? I remember I was shooting its underbelly a while ago and it did nothing in a previous video. So what? Did I hit the delete key? What the hell happened? It just where'd it go? Like the stuff that was on its back kind of just stayed and it disappeared. What the hell happened? Hang on a second. Let me keep shooting you. How much health does this thing have, I wonder? Whoa. Yo, I think they are dying. That's actually super weird. Hey, little guy. I just got to torment you a little bit. It's okay. Do they tickle? Yeah, they tickle, don't they? There you go. Oh my god. Like a slinky. Is the reefback a giant slinky? What is this? See, like, things aren't meant to die really in this game. Not big things like a reefback anyways. That's actually kind of disturbing to see that it can die like that. I think that happened in the past to me too. All right, so another thing I want to show you real quick is the handgun itself and just what it can do. So this is standby mode, does nothing. The cannon obviously is just destructive as all hell. The bone shark is there. Oh, I didn't fire it. I keep forgetting I gotta hold it. There we go. And bam. I missed it entirely. That's fine. I'll hit you now. Bam. And the bone shark is dead. Just like that. But another cool feature of this gun is the laser itself. I can use a laser to kill things if I want. So you can just hold on to it. Or I can scale things in real time and make them gigantic. Now, I don't understand the idea behind this or why I would want to scale something up like this. But it's a thing. Now you can say that's a normal one. He's actually going to get supersized. There you go, little guy. And that's the gigantic one that we just had. Now, if I use the laser, it doesn't impact their health at all. You can see it dynamically shows their health reading. And that's basically that. But still, I'm sure you guys get the idea of mods. What they can do to the game. And what modders are currently doing in a program that really doesn't support too much when it comes to the modding community and them wanting to add new things. Like submarines or even weapons, to be honest with you. So they're actually making impressive strides. I'm also going to have an update soon on the Wasp submarine for you guys and how that's going and if we're going to be looking at a Atlas 2.0 or not. Basically a giant submarine added to the game and so on and so forth. But now I want to get into the fancy official stuff that I'm sure the majority of you are here for. So let's do that right now. We're going to start off with a new reveal of a creature that potentially is coming to below zero. the Snow Stalker F. Now, you guys have seen in the past the other creatures have like F or A, B, C. So this is one of the variations of this creature, clearly. And you can see it's got giant teeth, it's got like spines on its back, and a glowy little tail with giant claws. A terrestrial relative of the Stalker of tropical seas. The Snow Stalker is able to move both on pack ice and through water as it hunts prey. Can use its tail as a prop to stand tall and view its surroundings. That's actually kind of terrifying right there. Reminds me of a meerkat, I think. I think a meerkat's the one that can do that, or are they just the ones that stand really tall? Maybe it's not even a meerkat at all. Anyway, you get the idea, right? Yeah, you get the idea. Really cool concept. I want to know what you guys think about it down below in the comments section. Let's move into some more important Arctic news. So here is the initial production scope for Subnautica Below Zero, and this is the checklist of things they have that they want to do. And I want to say now they're adding in, or that it looks like they're looking at adding the Transfuser, which is an old tool that we had seen in Subnautica in the past. The idea was to make serums and inject yourself with cool, like, speedy stuff or traits and stuff. You basically take the traits of one creature and give it to yourself or maybe another creature, and then they would gain, like, I don't know, maybe the bioluminescence of a creature or the speed of another or the aggression, so on and so forth. The world would be significantly smaller than Subnautica right now, and they'd have a bunch of different biomes and stuff like that. I want to make a note too that this is all subject to change. They may completely change this and just say we don't want to do this at all. Around 5 new creatures, the rock puncher, glow whale, and then 4 to 6 reskins of existing, yada yada yada. We have docking modules, teleportation rooms, so on and so forth. Just the generic stuff you would see. New sea truck with modules, skips Cyclops, and probably skips Seamoth. So the sea truck, as we had seen before, would be the replacement, I guess, for the Cyclops and Seamoth. And I have seen in notes in this that they are moving forward with this whole sea truck idea instead of having the Cyclops and Seamoth. So it makes sense now why we're not going to see 2 of those in the expansion. Cargo rocket, there's going to be precursor facilities, disaster effects for intro. Altera fleet will be in orbit. Obviously, we're going to see that. We're going to have rocket platforms, and they're not sure what they want to do with the ending. So that's a general overview of what we're going to see in this expansion and what they kind of are toying with right now on the table. Also, based on this card, you can see lightning should actually be dangerous. They are definitely working on weather effects, and those weather effects may be out to hurt you. Now, at this point, I actually have some of these sound effects that they're going to be using for walking through snow and stuff like that. These are just really quick little snippets, and then I have the actual ambient sounds, I believe, for the background of when they're in game and stuff, actually doing stuff. So we're going to take a listen to these footprints, these footsteps, whatever, walking in snow, and then we'll move into some other stuff. And then this, to my understanding, is the Arctic ambience. So on top of all of this, we actually may have an idea of how we're starting in this expansion, because we have the intro alarm, and it's when the player wakes up at the intro of the game. And then this plays. Kind of annoying to hear, but that plays. It sounds like a normal clock alarm, that's it, and it wakes you up. You get up out of bed. I can imagine Subnautica would take that kind of turn in the gameplay and stuff, where they don't want the catastrophic intro. It doesn't have to be the same intro we saw in the original Subnautica. This could be something different, so I'm thinking we're gonna wake up, in our female bodies, and whatever chicks do when they wake up. I don't know. That's just that. You get up out of bed, you turn off your alarm, and you go about your day because you are a contracted, I guess, wildlife observer and species analyzer and stuff like that. Basically all that fancy stuff there. The idea is already set there, and it kind of makes sense for it to have a peaceful beginning, and then it moves into, oh boy, things are getting bad. And, well, actually, I have some stuff I can show you in just a moment that kind of back it up. And the thing that I have kind of to back this up is the plot overview from Tom. And then the idea of it is basically here where you are a scientist studying precursor stuff on 454-6B for the Altera fleet in orbit. Stuff goes wrong and you're forced underwater. Altera wants you to send samples to the fleet. So more or less, that's the general outline. I can imagine that's okay. You wake up on the planet doing your job. You're already there. Altera's got your back. They're in space, you know, orbiting, doing whatever Altera does, which is absolutely nothing. And then something goes wrong, probably something horrible, and it might have something to do with the giant alien worm I'm about to get into, or it might have something to do... Actually, I think it could be the giant alien worm. I feel like the giant alien worm is going to do something to something that's really mission critical. Yeah, we're getting in over our heads. So I'm going to take a step back, and we're going to actually move to the sections that talk about these alien worms, these giant things, and the Kraken. So this right here is why I believe the ice worm is going to be the main source of the drama and stuff that happens and makes us have to go underwater. I could be wrong. This is just my theory, a game theory. I love you, Matt Pat, but you get the idea. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is because I said this in a previous video where it looks like there were things tunneled into the ice in some of the concept art. Now, I don't know if it was purposely done in this or not, but we did come to a conclusion or speculation that there may have been something large that had tunneled through the ground. It did look like there were tunnels, but we didn't really touch base with it because we had no actual proof that this was going to be a thing. It was kind of just speculation, so I didn't really pursue it, but it was a likely scenario that could have happened if these tunnels were made by a creature. I'm thinking what's going to happen is this giant ice worm of assholes and sadness is actually going to be the cause of something going wrong, and maybe it grabs a piece of mission critical tech and it dives down back into the ice through wherever, and us having to go underwater to chase it is basically we need to recover this mission critical stuff. Maybe it takes a data hub down with it or something like that, because they did say that they wanted to target different things too when it jumps up through the ice in one of their other Trello cards. As seen right here, it seems the ice worm doesn't dive unless it has a target to dive at. Sometimes we may just want it to dive somewhere interesting, near a player, at a penguin, or somewhere random, just to keep it moving. So the idea is basically there for it to be a catastrophic creature that impacts the game directly. And here we go, moving back into this giant text document of stuff that they had been speaking about and stuff that they wanted to add to the expansion and all that fancy stuff. So base modules, teleporter rooms and stuff like that, power consumption, display terminals, and just stuff like that basically. A lot of this I'm not going to go down through, but some of this I will. Now you can actually see right here, multi-purpose rooms. For multi-purpose rooms, we could actually have a glass ceiling, which I love the idea of them incorporating. If they do that, that would be absolutely amazing. It's something I've always wanted to see in Subnautica, because right now we kind of just have the heavy dome. We can put windows around all over through the habitat, but you can't really see above. Why can't we have a glass roof? Why can't we do that? We can have glass that will withstand. Well, then again, it's curved and weird. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think down below in the comment section. More ideas were exterior lockers that were accessible from both inside and outside, yada yada yada. Base platforms that connect to cliffs, walls, and icebergs. And this was this right here. This is more of a submarine-based project, but we know that we're not going to have a submarine. But the idea of having these things actually stuck into the ice, that's actually really cool. And this is really similar to something we had seen in the past as well, as a first look conceptual piece. And like ultimately it's like a hit and miss with this, because like it's more of a submarine base, as you can see, but at the same time this would be something amazing to build underwater. But what would the point be of coding something in like this? Like, what could we really justify having this dynamic type of underwater building system for when it comes to latching onto ice and, you know, like all the different terrain types underwater and the ice things? Would it be select structures we could attach to? Would it be anything at all? That's the thing about it. Like, that's just that. I want to make a note now that this was actually made a couple years ago. This isn't like brand new or anything like that. It's nothing like super new. Just give you guys a heads up. Scrolling down through this a little bit more, larger rectangular room, and then like we have community ideas as well. What people want to see, and there's actually some mention of mods down below too, I believe. But we have creatures, penguins. Player can steal eggs for subsistence. Players can get in the middle of a huddle of penguins for warmth, which makes sense because that's what penguins do to keep warm. Crouch down on an ice shelf and the penguins run over you. Crowd round. You know, basic quality of life stuff like that. And then the ice worm bust up through ice and go back down and leave a hole, which would mean we would have dynamic terrain that could be destroyed with like a terraformer, for instance, or something like that, I assume, unless it's just like an actual scripted event that happens. We can confirm it's going to be very large, big enough to attack vehicles, slam head into ground and send ice chunks around that can do damage. This thing is really reminding me of a worm that was in the game a while ago. I can't remember the name of it, and I think it was actually a placeholder asset. But this thing would hide under the ground, and it would actually jet up and attack anything that got in front of it. It had no real animations. It had really no nothing. But the idea was there, and it seems like they may want to move into having this giant worm because it was such a big part of what we wanted to see in Subnautica, and unfortunately we didn't get to see it because it was just a placeholder model and stuff like that. And I think they're really revisiting that now because so many people had shown interest in actually having a creature like that in the game. And as you guys have just seen, well, it's kind of big too. This thing's starting to make me feel like it's a graboid because it's triggered by rapid movement. And that's one thing a graboid is attracted to, vibrations in the ground or heat, which kind of catches me off guard on that one because heat through the... I guess it kind of makes sense. Yeah, okay. Something else they're thinking about working on is a system where we can actually utilize the wildlife around us, which I know is something they're definitely going to push forward with. Like this would be a very big part of the game. For instance, the glow whale, ride them to go to the depths. People have wanted riding on these sea creatures for a very long time. People have always wanted to see this. This is something that I wanted to see. You could actually touch them as well and get a benefit, possibly like healing or a speed boost. Now that may not make it into the game. Eating krill, behavior in schools of krill, yada yada yada. And then obviously it would have a glow under it, and if you stay around that, it's a deterrent for predators that may want to eat you. So it'd be a good idea to stay around them for both safety and so you can see down below. Giant sea turtles, like reefbacks on land, which I kind of like. Orcas, sea lions, polar bear. They have some other ideas here for creatures right here, like the sea lion, orcas, polar bears, stuff like that. Not necessarily adding these creatures, but potentially taking inspiration from them, I would believe. I don't think they would add like real world things to the game like that, because then you're kind of crossing over into another idea. And like they would have had to have brought these polar bears and sea lions to the planet for them to actually be there anyways, because life developed in a very different way on 4546B. And finally, one of the creatures that we had seen in the past, which was the pink hook creature, I believe this thing right here. Yeah, this guy right here. They're thinking about making this guy a pet, which is actually kind of cool. I like the idea of having this as a pet, but at the same time, since it has this giant hook right there, does this mean it's actually going to have some kind of combat capability if we do manage to tame one or befriend it? How's that going to work? Could it attack us? I mean, it looks cute and adorable, but this whole idea of a weapon that could probably destroy you on its back is kind of terrifying. The idea of a giant bird was also teased, because we do see birds in Subnautica now. It's just they're not really as big as what we would like to see, and they're not really anything serious too. Like we don't really see the birds and think, you know, oh, I wonder what I could do with that and yada yada. They kind of just fly around and that's it. They don't do anything to you. That's just that. So then you move on down more. The gorge tunnel worms could be a shortcut or only way to get past a wall. Maybe closes up if you aren't careful. And then some way to keep open temporarily, yada, yada, yada. So this is also a terrifying concept. The Kraken tentacle right here, which we don't actually have anything we can see about the Kraken right now. But the Kraken tentacle and the idea for that to grab a vehicle and hold it. Like, this is something that was spoken about, I think, a long time ago. It wasn't necessarily a Kraken. But the tentacle itself, from what I understand, I think it was actually in the Subnautica Discord server itself. People were talking about, instead of having the ghost leviathans, you could have the Kraken tentacle, or not the Kraken tentacle, but like a tentacle that would reach up and grab you, and after a while it would kill you, or maybe it would instantly kill you, yada yada yada, more or less. And just in general, they had ideas for these creatures all down through here that would do either good or bad things to you and for you. You can take a moment if you want here and read down through this list. There's a lot of stuff right here. I'm going to continue on down to the Transfuser. Now, this is a thing that we had seen in Subnautica in the past. The Transfuser, more or less, it extracted DNA from what I understood, and you could inject it into yourself or another creature, and you would actually gain benefits from doing that. So you would extract DNA, put it into a thing that spun it, and it would make a serum. That serum is what you inject into yourself when it's been refined, and you would get some kind of benefit from that. Now down here, it seems that they're adding the option, or they want to add the option, where you can use a propulsion cannon to shoot serums into creatures. You can't take DNA from stasised creatures. You need to slow them down with a slow potion. That'll slow a creature, I think. Fertile potion, one DNA extraction, you get you 3 samples instead of 1 serum on farmable plants. Serums replacing fabricator ingredients with higher level versions, lubricant easy etc. I like the idea of this a lot. There's a lot of stuff they could do with serums. And then down right here we see serums and player mods. Straightforward possibilities, speed, strength, durability, night vision, invulnerabilities, time shifting, which is kind of weird. That's more of like a Reaper, or not a Reaper thing, a Warper type of trait. Modifiers on oxygen, hunger, and thirst. Maybe you would gain the ability to breathe underwater, but you would no longer be able to breathe air. You'd have to trade off some stuff. It's like, this would actually be kind of weird. And then we can move down to the weather gameplay effects, which they want to use blizzards to reduce solar panel output. So we're going to have solar panels, which is good. Lighting EMP storms, which just completely shut down any electronic device during the weather and affected area. And maybe it would discharge batteries and power cells. And some creatures might feed off the lightning and EMP blasts. And then here's where they were looking at other features like the map mod. And the map mod is a mod that was worked on a while ago. I remember this actually. I was going to cover it. And it just shows you the locations of different things, more or less. And just hotspots, you know, where you might want to be, where you might not want to be, so on and so forth. And actually, you can see right here, they have like an extended bar right here too. So they're definitely paying attention to the modding community and what's happening over there. One of the last things I wanted to show you guys was the idea for upgrade slots in the hover bike, because you were wondering about this and I was too. So the possible upgrades discussed that may be added but may not be added are boost intensity, silent running, power efficiency, acceleration, and max speed, but in brackets may not be enough headroom to play with speed significantly. Now I don't know why, because I'm not a dev, but I assume it messes up some things in the game. And then obviously the sea truck, which is the very last thing we're going to talk about. And, well, there's not really much to say about it because we haven't seen it yet. We don't know what it's going to look like. All we know is that they had notes from an August 24th meeting. They're going to disable oxygen inside, no longer able to drive. Do the players get killed if the cab is destroyed? Do individual parts get destroyed, or are they damaged and repairable? If a segment reaches 0 health, it detaches and is permanently destroyed. And then show representation of the chain on the HUD. This is more like a mobile command center I'm feeling like now, where we can take this thing around. You guys remember the movie, what was it? It was like you journey to the center of the earth, whatever, where like they have the drilling rig and stuff, and like different pieces of it start failing and they start losing it and people die from it. Like, really good movie. I just strongly suggest you guys check that out. It's super cool. I think it's The Core or something like that. But anyways, they're going to the center of the world, and the idea, I think, kind of matches the sea truck, but I don't know yet because we don't know how the sea truck looks. And then obviously, sea truck module, subchains to driven, yada, yada, yada. So that's more or less subchains and how this thing would more or less connect and stuff like that. And then the sea train, well, they move the access door from the sides to the top. Either way, guys, that is it on everything to do with this Subnautica expansion. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on everything that I have covered in this video. I think I've gotten the majority of what we're going to be looking for. Teleporter room, power consumption, display terminal, yada, yada, yada. Fancy stuff like that. I did actually get access to something I don't think I was supposed to get access to, so I'm not going to show that section because I don't want to. I'm just going to wipe it actually from my computer just so like I'm not even tempted. But anyways, like I said, leave a like if you enjoyed it. Let's start a discussion down below. Let me know your thoughts. I will see you in the next one.